Welcome to Screen Riot, the show where we let fate choose the movie we review. This week's movie is the 2013 Sci-Fi The Congress. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on Amazon Prime or rent or buy on iTunes, Google Play, and more for $2.99. So go check out the movie and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot. Welcome back to another edition of Screen Riot. So this is the last episode of this season, which is kind of a cool thing. Our first season.
First season wrap up here.
So if you've been enjoying the podcast, make sure you go on all the podcast platforms, like, subscribe, get involved, do all that stuff. If you want to get even more involved, that would be really cool. Give us your money. Go to patreon.com/ScreenRiot. We have our first Screen Riot Patreon exclusive, which was we did a review for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed recording that.
I thought it was...
It's where we basically came to the conclusion that the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is actually about a serial killer.
Yes,
so,
but you'll have to find out who by going to our Patreon and actually, choosing one of those levels.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay.
It might be him. I don't know.
Yeah. So so if you want to find out all about that and that weird connecting the dots that we did on that episode, sign up for Patreon and go up to there. So this week was my movie because I was the last person to go. It was a sci-fi movie and it was called The Congress.
It was definitely sci-fi.
Yes, it was. I've never seen this movie. I just was kind of looking up sci-fi movies, and I came across this, and...
Sci-fi is not normally your genre, right?
No.
Not something you like?
Nah, not particularly, no.
Okay.
It's okay. Like, I like Minority Report. I kind of like, that kind of stuff.
So you like mainstream
Yeah, like
sci-fi.
mainstream sci-fi
Gotcha.
is fine.
Gotcha.
Not sci-fi fantasy.
No.
Well, you liked, what's that one with the big robots? Big robots, and they fight
Pacific Rim?
Pacific
Yes,
Rim?
Pacific
Yeah,
Rim.
yeah. I like the first. I like the first.
Oh, you didn't
Pacific
like
Rim.
Uprising? I mean, come on.
Nah.
What movie was
It's
that?
got what's his name in it? The stormtrooper from the new movies. Oh God, the black guy. He's
I forgot his name now.
yeah.
Oh, Finn.
The
right?
guy who
That-
plays
that
Finn. The actor who plays Finn is in this. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
is in Uprising. But anyway, the Congress.
Would you like to give a synopsis, Justin?
Sure. So basically, the Congress. And this synopsis I'm going to read from IMDb, which unfortunately does not give you an idea of what the movie's about.
No.
So it's an aging out-of-work actress accepts one last job, though the consequences of her decision affect her in ways she didn't consider. But what it's really about is Robin Wright, who plays herself, basically, struggling to get jobs, and her agent takes a deal to her from this production company called
Miramount.
Miramount.
Yeah,
it's Miramax and Paramount had a baby.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought was kind of funny. It was interesting.
I like that fictitious name.
Yeah. But the production company basically wants to scan her likeness. Her body, her consciousness, her feelings, her doubts, fears, everything about
everything that deals with Robin Wright.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then basically so that they can use her in future productions and to put her in past productions, I think.
Yeah.
Anything that she's passed on. So, which, when I was reading up a little bit about this, that was what I thought the movie was going to be about. I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds like
it kind of reminded me of like
idea.
a Black Mirror episode. Something that we're going to just own you and use you in whatever we want.
Yeah. So for about the first 30 minutes, I would say, or 40 minutes of the film.
And see, before you go into the second rest of the movie, the other hour and a half, I think that we actually have to deal with this movie as two slightly different movies.
You do.
Yes,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Because they're actually attacking. It's sort of like two different ideas. That one of them is the future extension of what is already currently happening. Because like right now, you can go to concerts and see like John Lennon play with a Beatles cover band he's done as a hologram.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And it's John Lennon. I got to see John Lennon play, or I got to see Michael Jackson dance on stage. Prince played, etc. Prince, Michael Jackson, and John Lennon did a concert. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And Elvis showed up. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, the world exploded.
Yeah. So this to me is almost a critique of this idea that you can bottle, for lack of a better term, because I don't really think of these people necessarily as geniuses, but I'm going to say you can bottle and sell genius is really the idea. So it's like they're scanning her likeness and they're taking her, and they're it's her. It's her on screen, so it's her in real life is what the audience is meant to believe. In her heyday.
They
Exactly.
don't want her now.
In the perfect time. Exactly. So it's almost like this idea that you can create an algorithm that is just as good as the actual creator or the actual actor, artist,
Right.
etc. And I think the director is making a pretty harsh criticism of that idea.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now, if the film would have stuck with that idea
Yeah.
for... Like, I was super into this movie. I wouldn't say super, but I was gung-ho for the first 30 to 40 minutes or whatever.
Especially the Harvey Keitel guiding her in the dome scene. That was fucking dark. It got dark quick.
That was tense.
That was possibly the best acting that I've seen from Harvey
Robin Wright.
Keitel.
Oh.
From
She
Robin
just,
Wright.
she just stood there
I'm-
smiling and laughing and then crying.
I'm a Harvey Keitel fan. But,
Yeah.
I mean, that scene to me is just proves that he is an amazing actor.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it made me think that he really didn't like her in real life, and this was sort of like the director was like, "Hey, Harvey, tell Robin what you really think about her."
I mean, but when you think about it, it's just manipulation.
Oh yeah, completely.
To get his own, his 10% as an agent, or
Which is
whatever.
what was funny, because that's what his speech to her was about.
Yeah,
Right.
His speech to her was about how he was manipulating her. He's been manipulating her since day one.
And he was
he's gonna
manipulating
continue.
his, I was going to say friends, but his school friends or whatever.
Yeah,
all the
one that was-
handicapped kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that was getting bullied.
The
Yeah.
one with the tail.
Yes.
He's got a tail. And then he's like...
$1 a tail, $1 a look. Or
It
something.
actually led to the DCF being called because he was what's the word whenever you...
Child labor or something like that.
Exploiting.
Exploitation.
He's exploiting all the disabled kids at the school. So
Yeah.
he gets called to DCF and spends 2 months in juvenile detention.
That was
excellent.
pretty interesting.
Well, that's what's funny. It rode that wave of like, it was funny, and then it got super dark, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like,
Which was the purpose.
Yeah, I mean, it was
to get her to go through these range of emotions
yeah.
for the bullet time camera thing.
But I'm with John. I think that was probably one of the best parts of that movie
I agree.
overall
Yeah.
was that one
Yes.
scene. But unfortunately, it comes, like you said, within the first 30 minutes.
And see, the machines that she was in, I mean, those are real machines. Those are things that you actually, that the game developers use to basically have an image of this person so they can digitize it and put it in games.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that than remodel something.
Exactly. Just take a bunch of photos of this
Yeah.
person, and now you have a 3D model of this person.
Yeah, you just stitch
which is
together.
great. So I mean, it makes it. I mean, that machine is really, really cool. I thought.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that they worked it in a believable way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that was the thing. For the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes of the movie, it's really not that far-fetched. Like, for the first 30 or 40 minutes, I was like, okay, so it appears that the only thing that's really kind of out there is that they're doing this before the person's dead. They're
Right.
doing it to like
Yeah, it's not post-mortem like
Michael Jackson
Lennon
and John
and-
Lennon
yeah.
and all them. So they're doing this thing where they're going to digitize the actor prior, which it's kind of like a baby step type thing. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, this is where they are today. Where could they maybe be tomorrow? And then around 40 minutes, they jump to like, where would they be 20 years from now? Right?
Yeah.
But the first 40 minutes, I mean, I just thought it was going to be the whole movie. I thought was going to be pretty close to that.
that's what I was
And then,
hoping.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we learned that her son has
Degenerative disease.
Yeah, a condition to where he's going to lose his sight and his hearing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this is the step to make her move towards that long or that lifetime contract.
Yeah.
Of okay, I'm going to sell my body or sell my soul and sell my image to this company so that way I could be wealthy for the rest of my life and actually take care of my son and with the days that I have left with him or something like that instead of being on a movie set for
Right,
weeks at
exactly.
a time.
That's-
And that's how it was sold. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. And then, after this or something like that, you could actually go into, well, maybe the studio actually is using her for porn and for things that weren't in her contract, and it kind of like went back and forth, but she was like helpless or something like that she couldn't do anything because she sold her life away.
Yeah.
But that's not
what
where it went. So
No, not at all.
So one of my
Which is a shame because I would have liked to have seen that.
yeah,
movie.
this movie, like the first, like you said, the first 30 minutes, the first 45 minutes, it was like, yeah, this is okay. This is cool.
And it's one movie. When they make the cut though to 20 years later, it's very abrupt. That's probably my first criticism of the movie though, is I don't know why that cut was so abrupt. Like you don't see her come out of that dome.
I forget what the incoming scene is.
Her driving.
Yeah, it's just
No,
her,
I mean the before the 20 years later. I forget what's going on.
They're doing the Harvey Keitel talking to her in the dome thing.
Oh, okay. It
Like
goes
literally
straight from there to
like he's like mid sentence and she's sitting there and she's like crying or something, and then it just cuts and it goes 20 years later.
Yeah.
And then she's driving a car and she looks aged and she's pulling up to the security guard.
Yeah.
It's just very strange, that cut. Like I
And the booth
know.
is right in the middle of the street. Everything was just very strange to me. And this whole, like the very beginning of that, and when she started snorting the whatever, the
Ampule?
hallucinations.
Yeah, so go ahead and explain the second half real quick so we can
No,
jump
I
into
was
that.
hoping you guys would explain it to me.
Okay. Do you have an idea?
I mean,
or do you want me to do it?
I have ideas, but yeah, go
John,
ahead.
you liked it. Do you want to explain it? Go ahead.
Well,
Yeah, who wants to make a stab at this?
I'll try.
Go ahead, and then I'll jump
Okay.
in if we need.
Basically, this drug or whatnot that they sniff
Yeah.
alters their chemical balance
Yeah.
in their mind to where what they perceive as reality is actually this animated world.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
right.
a hallucinogenic.
Yeah.
Right. It's a hallucinogenic drug that maintains itself
Yeah.
until
it doesn't
you
wear off.
Yeah, it doesn't wear off
okay.
until you take another drug to wear it off.
Right.
But there are other drugs to make you into other things other than yourself in this hallucination.
So
Right.
that I don't think had been developed yet
Well,
in the first 20, like right at the beginning.
it was short lived because as she's walking into the Miramel Hotel,
Yeah.
The
they were-
Abrahambra.
yeah, they were handing out, these waiters were handing out the little vials of the stuff, and people were sniffing it, changing
Yes.
into something else
Yes.
or some other person.
Yep.
And then immediately changing back.
Right.
It's only like 5 seconds or
temporary.
so.
Yeah. Okay,
So
yeah.
so what you're talking about there, like so far I'm down 100%. That's literally what's happening in the film, right? When she's going there, she's meeting again with the guy who was the original Miramount
Jeff.
guy, Jeff. Okay, so she's meeting with Jeff,
Who's played by Danny Houston.
Danny
Right.
Houston.
Right.
Again, I thought excellent. I the whole time I'm watching him, I'm like, I completely believe he's
Scene
a
stealer.
Hollywood scumbag, right?
He's the sleaze that we love.
Yeah. So he wants to steal her, not her image anymore, and not even her mind. He wants to steal her essence now.
Yes.
Like he wants to buy her to where they can turn her into a chemical compound that then people can sniff and become
eat
her
and drink.
and become
Right.
her.
Right.
So, and we see that later on as well, by the way, which we'll go into in a minute. But so that idea is, to me anyway, this is essentially the idea that if people are so enamored with social media and avoiding reality, right? They're going to avoid reality. They're going to avoid. They're going to live their lives through star fucking, through idolizing celebrities and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, how far is that going to go? Where is that going to stop? What if it didn't stop at the computer screen? What if it went into your everyday reality?
Right.
Yeah, like a singularity.
That's what this movie's about.
Yeah.
This
Right.
movie is essentially, at that point, once we see her go into the quote-unquote animated zone, it's like going into your computer, right? So instead of just, living your fake life where you can, bitch online and there's no repercussions, now you can bitch in person and there's no repercussions because what's taking place is mostly in your mind.
Right. And you can be anything that you want to be.
Yeah.
Do anything that you want to do.
Yeah. And it destroys it eventually destroys all of mankind.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they fall apart.
Exactly. Well, mankind ceases to exist to them.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to just take this drug and what they call crossover into this hallucinogenic world.
Yeah.
And just live
Yeah.
without any emotion, basically. I mean, other than Euphoria.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's weird because there's emotions apparently, but notice that none of those people were actually exhibiting emotions because from what I could tell, and this part does get a little bit gray. From what I could tell, everything that was animated that we saw was technically only happening with her.
Right.
So the guy that was there, that was telling her, I guess was played by John Hamm, is technically there, but he's not.
That's Dylan, by the way.
Dylan, thank you. So technically he's there, but he's not.
See, that's what I was confused on.
So-
Because this isn't a new concept for movies where somebody takes a hallucinogenic
Yeah.
and, you know, they imagine that they're doing something, but they're actually doing it still.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's a chair in the middle of a room, right? That chair is still there, but maybe I want it to be a throne because I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah.
Right? But it's still a chair.
Yeah. Well, this is augmented reality. So this is the same idea too, that not just social media, but augmented reality. Well, what if we took that off the screen and we made it real life? It's augmented reality, right? We can live in anything we want to at that point. So with the John Hamm thing, that was her reality and her perception of having a conversation with somebody that wasn't technically taking place.
Correct.
That's what I'm thinking.
It was in her head because if you notice, whenever she came out of it, whenever he gives her the drug and she comes out of it, no one's talking. No one's fucking looking at each other.
But he would have had to have done that in real life.
He would have had to have given her something. I don't know that the conversation took place. It's kind of weird. It's almost like unless they shared the same hallucination.
But there was a kind of a cool shot when she did actually snap out of it and take this cyanide pill or whatever to kill her animated self.
Yeah.
That when she was walking through the lobby and next to the bar and stuff like that, she came back to reality.
Yes.
But those people that she was actually walking through were also there in the in the hotel thing. So,
So that's what I'm saying. It's had to have happened.
Well, no, she's perceiving them as there, but they're talking and shit in their heads. Like in her imagination, there was noise, there was sound, they were talking, but none of them are talking in real life.
Right, they're just stoned.
True.
Like there's nothing there.
Yeah, I mean they're not moving, they're not hugging, they're not. I mean, shit, they're barely touching each other. They're just standing in a daze. So I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very possible that they wanted that real harsh, like everyone looks horrible. So maybe
Dystopian.
so maybe they were having conversations that were real conversations, but we aren't presented with that. You know what I'm saying? We're presented,
which is a
with,
fault.
It's possible, yeah. Or
Because you have to define that.
I agree. No, I'm with you. I'm simply saying that it's possible that they wanted it to be so harsh that it jarred the viewer more.
Because like when her and Dylan, you said
Dylan,
I couldn't remember his name. They fly.
Well, yeah, they fly at one point. They have sex at one point,
Right.
in some
Which
very
is
awkward.
totally out of left field. And I was like, yeah, because they were just flying and she was crying because she was going to meet, I guess, her daughter.
Her daughter, who apparently lives in the area where they wear no clothes, and they're the last group of people on Earth who have children.
Right.
The rest of humanity has given up on having kids.
Right, but she never goes to see her.
Because there's no way to know who she is.
Okay, but yeah, that's strange to me. It's like if this is all in her mind,
Yeah.
that she would actually create her in her mind, you would think. But
Well, she never gets to create her son. Later on in the movie, after she talks with Paul Giamatti, she doesn't get to create her son. She actually lives her son's life through his eyes for the rest of her life.
okay, that's what that was.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fucking strange. We'll go to that too.
Yeah,
man.
I was really confused about the ending, and we're going to get to that.
Okay. I thought they were trying to make some kind of connection between the Wright brothers and their last name. Like
No.
maybe they were like related.
Oh wow!
Like what?
I'll tell you in a minute. Go ahead, John. What were you saying, bro?
I wasn't drunk enough for this movie. That's what the problem was.
I didn't take enough shrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The movie did that for me.
Whenever I was first watching, when that happened, I'm like, holy shit, what am I watching?
Yeah.
Right. and I was thinking, I'm like, okay, what could I what mesh up could I do here? And the only thing I could think of was Cool World and Pink Floyd had a baby.
Yeah.
Ooh,
See, I thought Cool World, Roger Rabbit, and
I thought about Roger Rabbit too.
and the movie Mandy with Nicolas Cage, which if you've never seen, you don't need to. But
Yeah,
it's a head trip as well. It's just a fucking mess of a movie. It's all over the place.
I mean, really, I don't know. I could not get into the animated part, not just because I don't like animation, but just because it didn't make sense. Like I was not invested.
Well, it's fitting to me that we're confused during those animated scenes because the chemicals are messing with Robin's mind.
Yeah, right.
and she can't separate whether it's real or it's not real.
Right.
And it's almost like we're taking a step. It's almost like we're becoming her, to where we are just as confused as she is, and like, okay, why did the lights turn out in her room?
Right.
And then the concierge says,
Because
it's because you want them to go out, so you can do anything you want in this world. And she was sad, so the lights went out.
Right.
And see, that's what I was going to say. Is it's a blend of, and this is where it goes back to, they could actually be having the conversation with Dylan, okay? Because it's a blend of what other people's, like, pheromones is the only way I can describe it. They're hormones, like because, like, for instance, when she's walking through, and Dylan has found her, and she got out of the coma, and Dylan's found her, and they're walking through now, and he's explaining the new world to her, right? After the boat, after all that took place, he's explaining the new world to her. We see, like, what was the name of her character 20 years later? It was like Rad Robo. Whatever, the 3R thing, right?
Robin
R.
Robot. Roundup, I don't
something like that, right? Well, there's 3 women who look like her, who are her in that cartoon world, right? They took the ampule that turned them into her.
Well, when she checked in, they said, "Oh, you're the 6th one today."
Exactly. So they're already doing something to change, to be able to change themselves into Robin, right? Well, how would she know that they want to look like that? It's got to be something. They said that, something at one point about, like, the smell and the taste of people and all that kind of stuff. So it's what you're describing as being confusing. I think absolutely right. I don't know if I agree with you 100%, John, on the it's the chemicals messing with her brain and her not understanding it, as much as the chemicals interpreting what other people are giving off, and what the world around her brain interpreting the world around her in this new cartoon way.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make
sense?
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, she's getting the smell from somebody, and it makes her see Robo.
So external stimuli coming in
gets reinterpreted.
Subconsciously
Yes,
does something on this chemical.
Yeah, but, like, whether or not everyone's seeing big flowers open up and big green sloping hills and stuff, I don't know. I mean, we don't see it from anybody else's perspective.
I can debunk that theory because everything is very pretty, colorful, and everything, but her actual world doesn't look like anybody's bathed in a month.
Well, no, and that so that in particular goes back to the director. I think this is my perception. Goes back to the director's initial point about all this is twofold. One, we are fucking with our reality so much that what we perceive to be real, we're probably lying to ourselves. Like, we're lying to ourselves. I mean, like, to think that, like, I've got 800 friends on Facebook. Well, but do you really? I mean, you've got some family members on there. How many of them do you actually talk to outside of Facebook? Do you even call them on the phone? When's the last time you talked to them?
Or seen them in person?
When's the last time? Right? It's bullshit, but it makes you feel good, and that's this idea. So if we extrapolate that out 20 years and then 40 years, because that's when she wakes up from the coma, is like 37 or 17 years or something like that after the boat.
Yeah.
So if you extrapolate that all the way out, where would we be? Right. Mm-hmm. The second thing that I think he's putting into is this idea that, okay, if we let ourselves go down this pharmaceutical path where, not Vicodin, but what's the drug that people take? Valium. Like, we put ourselves under basically every day, and we just completely zonk out. Well, what will the society look like, just in general? Well, society will cease to exist. It'll be dystopian and dirty and fucking stupid. I mean, just a waste of time. The only people that actually seemed to want to live at all were the doctors up on the Zeppelin, which I thought was an interesting.
Oh, is that
scene.
Who they were? They were doctors.
They were doctors. It was basically the only people who decided not to take the drugs were the ones who created the drugs themselves.
I.e. pill pushers.
It's kind of strange, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
Floating pharmaceuticals.
Well, how much do you think Mark Zuckerberg? How often do you think he spends on Facebook?
Oh, probably never.
Well, Bill Gates told everyone, my kids don't have computers at the house. So what the fuck are you pushing them for then? Why should everyone have a computer in the house, but you yourself, your own kids don't have it? So it's taking this idea of all the people who create these technologies and who push them for mass appeal. Well, they would probably not even do them themselves. How interesting. So what does that say about the technology or about the pharmaceutical in particular? It's just I thought it was an interesting take on a bunch of different topics. But because it was so many different topics, it became very muddled.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
addiction is another one.
Yeah, addiction, absolutely.
Yeah, addiction and how the addict knows that they need help, but they don't, and they know how horrible that their appearance is getting and all that because of the drugs, but they simply either are too scared to know what not being high is, or they've just given up and they just don't have the strength to get themselves out of it.
Yeah.
Because I mean all addicts know what they need to do.
Yeah.
You know, they're starting to come down and they're like, oh, this is terrible. I'm never going to do this again. It's just like quitting smoking.
Or losing weight.
Yeah, or losing weight. Exactly.
I know I need to exercise. I know I need to eat healthy, but you know what? Eating a pizza or a Baconator is way more enjoyable.
It makes you feel good. Exactly.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And sorry, just touching on that real fast too. So there was one thing that hit me whenever she came out of the animation and she's faced with all these like dirty faces and everyone's lined up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, so who takes care of them? If they're living in this
Right.
animation 100% of the time, why are they like? How do they get dressed? How are they
I thought
knowing
the same thing.
Well, there was the woman who was on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Who was wearing the yellow jacket.
It's almost
And
like a peacekeeper type.
she
deal.
goes up and asks questions, and she's zonked out though.
Yes.
Whenever she goes up on her. So here's what I'm thinking that woman was.
Mm-hmm.
Almost no proof to support this, but here's my thought. I think that there is a worker class. There's the doctors up on the Zeppelin, and then there's a worker class on the ground that they say, listen, you're gonna live great. Actually, everyone else is gonna be dirty and disgusting around you, but you have to help us. But you'll live great. So you have to help us herd them. You have to help us like keep them mobile. Don't let them die. Don't let them like step off a cliff per se. Make sure that they're getting their injections or whatever the fuck it is they eat, because that doesn't get covered ever.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how they live.
Another thing too.
But I think she gave up. I think living in the world of the real was just so fucking much. She was like, never mind, and just takes it and zonks herself out.
And if
as
you
well.
notice too,
Yeah.
this might actually be an airborne attack.
Could be, yeah.
Because what
At
it
the
is
beginning, the pink stuff with the boat.
exactly.
Yeah.
That and everybody that's there helping or hurting these people, they're all wearing these biohazard suits.
Yes,
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And hers was off.
But
Gas
hers
masks,
was off.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a good point.
So that's why she was kind of like, and
So
and that would explain why they're living in the Zeppelin.
And
Above.
above the cloud.
Be above
That
the
makes
clouds.
sense.
and it might be like a heavier thing, like maybe like was it carbon dioxide or something like that? Isn't it heavier? Yeah, or
think
carbon
so.
monoxide.
Yeah, probably.
Carbon monoxide is dense, and so it's heavier, and so it's more on the ground. And if they're on Zeppelins, they're getting fresh air,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Well,
for
that-
pure oxygen.
And that explains why it's because maybe they didn't improve the drug, because that happened on the boat prior to everything going downhill. So maybe they didn't actually improve the drug, but it's been spread so much that it's everywhere in the world all the fucking time.
Right.
So they can't. So then the question becomes, though, why didn't she catch it again? But she took the antidote, right? Or antidote?
Yeah,
Right.
Not
yeah.
anecdote.
She took what we heard was a cyanide.
Cyanide pill to get out of the world there. So after she takes that pill, by
So
the
it's
way,
like a vaccine.
yeah,
Kind of.
After she takes that pill, though, she goes to see Paul Giamatti on the Zeppelin.
Yes.
Right.
Right, who's a doctor and who was the one who was helping her son
Right.
years and years before.
Right.
And he tells her the story of, he lasted as long as he could, but he finally just said, fuck it. He was almost deaf, almost blind. He just wanted to go live in. So that tale, this is twofold. First thing, though, her telling her that kind of goes back to your story of addiction and the people that kind of opt into it, maybe not consciously. Maybe they're not consciously thinking like, I just want to give up per se, but he does. He just gives up and then lets himself just go with the pink stuff.
Well, I
the-
mean,
the
and to think about it,
sniffer.
if you had a choice of not being able to hear
Or see.
and being blind,
yeah,
or taking this drug to forever be able to hear and see,
yeah,
and live a quality life,
yeah.
Sure.
Why wouldn't you?
why wouldn't you? Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't disagree.
Yeah.
So he tells her that, and then he goes, "Look, and she starts crying a little bit, and he's like, I'm gonna go make you a cocktail. The cocktail she makes him, or he makes her, I should say, is her son. That's my theory, because here's what happens after that scene.
Shit, yeah.
She sniffs it, and then she sees a baby boy with her on set kissing somebody. She sees a
Yes.
baby boy in the reflection of a TV crawling on the ground. Well, the baby boy is her son.
Right.
Right.
Then she's before that even I forgot this. Before that, she sees herself breastfeeding a baby, but she's looking up at herself
yeah.
taking the nipple.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
Right.
wow. 'Cause
Oh, okay.
That whole last scene,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
So
but
my
I
thought
didn't
is
realize it was all from the point of view of the
son. Yeah, so she's doing all these scenes and she's flying the kite, right? She's looking up at the red kite, but when she looks down, it's little kid hands.
You're right.
Well, who was the one who flew the kite? It was the son.
Right.
So that whole last scene, basically the rest of her life is lived out with her living as her son in order to be closer to her son.
But like, you know, for her to get up in that Zeppelin though,
Yeah.
and walking off past all these security guys with the guns and everything, I'm like, why is she just walking past everybody?
It may not be
Yeah.
illegal.
Huh?
It may not be illegal.
Oh, it may not be. I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, why have laws?
I guess if you're coherent enough,
Yeah.
to ride this weird kite thing that actually resembles identically to the kite that her son was
That her son
flying.
flew. Yeah.
This kite is in every shot almost.
Yeah, I know.
In this movie, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of weird.
Well, the
her
movie's about
walking
being
past.
high as a kite.
That's funny.
Waka waka.
And then that explains, Eddie,
yeah.
if she is her son, that explains why she can find him.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe.
Because
Did she find him at the end?
Yeah, she
Yes.
finds him at the end.
Yeah.
He's working on the Wright brothers
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
plane.
Yeah, she
the
walks up to him.
glider.
Yeah.
And she walks up to him, and he turns around, and you then see that they're the same.
That they're the same
that they're
person.
the same person.
That's
so
right.
that explains why she can find him now.
Yeah, because she relived his life.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this is the type of movie that I mean,
too cerebral for me.
Since we're all talking about it, it's starting to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And if
Yeah.
I honestly, I would not actually watch this again.
No.
Like at the end of this, I was thinking, what the fuck did I just watch? Like it left me in that, what is going on?
so when I watched it, I told my wife, I was like, I think possibly two, maybe three, but definitely two will probably not enjoy this. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you got to think way too hard. I was struggling
You see,
at
I
certain
don't
points.
mind I don't mind thinking at movies and stuff like that, but it is just when it smash cuts from scene to scene and it's like, wait, hold on, is this pre?
Yeah, you have to
post?
reorient yourself.
Like
yeah.
you have to really involve yourself into the movie.
Yeah.
But I think this, in order to fully understand it, you'd have to watch it at least 2 times to actually fully grasp it. Because
I'll be honest, I only watched this one once. Typically, I watch it 2 or 3 times. This
Yeah.
one, I didn't want to watch it a second time.
Well,
I was like,
I think I was thinking like, what the hell's going on constantly instead
yeah.
of
So was
actually
I.
just believing, just drinking everything in.
yeah, you got to submit to a movie like this.
Yeah.
You have to go, okay, I'm going to live in this world. What is the director telling me? And that's the only thing.
I think I just glazed over and scenes were going by.
I honestly, I think the scene where, where they were flying and she was crying, and then all of a sudden they landed at the airport, and then they started having sex, and I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? And I think that's where my mind just kind of like,
I'll be honest with you. Like, there's probably 50 more layers to this movie.
and then they
Yeah.
go to lunch afterwards. I was like, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on?
There's probably a solid 50 more layers to this movie. If you wanted to sit down,
It's
and,
probably very deep. Yeah.
and really break apart everything, and then you could probably find online where the directors talked about it, and then you're like, oh my god, I didn't even see that. Like, because I know there's a whole other part where we're not even looking at Dylan. Dylan was obsessed with her prior to meeting her on the boat.
Yes.
Mhm.
He was a designer of the CGI avatar that is Robin Wright in this world.
Right.
And then you've got the actress Robin Wright that he apparently just wanted to find at all costs. Like he's dedicated his life now to basically taking care of her because he fell in love with her digital avatar.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
Do you guys understand? So
Yes.
like that's like all these people that we see that walk around that are like, not walk around necessarily, but that we see in movies and on I don't know, shitty websites that go into weird stories like this. But they've got like fuck pillows, like these
Oh,
pillows
yeah.
that are shaped
Oh,
like
Jesus.
people,
Yeah,
and they feed them and stuff. They like take care of them and
Or it's kinda
talk to
like-
them,
yeah.
and I mean just nutty shit. And then you got the people that are really in love with porn stars, like
Right.
really are actually in love with the physical or the not physical, the 2D version of what's on their screen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
and
what's
it's
the
like-
next step of that?
It's like how we keep, saying that Danny Houston, he always plays this asshole of a character, but
Yeah.
a really good character. It's like, is that him in real life?
Yeah.
You start to think like, okay, how they play on screen is how they actually act in real life.
Yeah.
And you have that fake perception of
Yes.
what they actually who they actually are.
So if you take that a few more steps further, though,
Yeah.
too, to where Dylan
It
is
becomes
like,
an
okay,
obsession.
Exactly, where he's like, okay, so here's who she is, and then I would love that, and then I want to be with that, and then, well, I can't be with the 2D version, but you know what? The 3D version is still alive. Let me stalk it.
Yeah.
Even though it goes into a coma and is now like an 80-year-old woman.
Right.
Let me stalk this all the way down the line. It's definitely a weird movie. I mean, again, you could probably sit for hours and just talk about pieces of more than likely. I mean, it was very art school to me.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was very, very art school. Like, it did break the rules of art school in some way, but like film school in some way, but it was, it's so cerebral, like you're saying, that unless you're willing to submit and be like, okay, I'm going to be taught a lesson in this movie, maybe even one I don't want to know.
Like, well, I would
You
not
know?
I would not suggest anybody watch this.
Oh, see, I would suggest it, but it wouldn't be with hey, you're really into action movies.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would be very selective about who I would
yeah.
suggest.
Oh,
this
you
to.
like Robin White?
Yeah.
Princess Bride? Okay. For Forrest Gump, I've got this movie called The Congress.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense at all.
No.
Basically having her hit rock bottom as an actor or an actress. All right. So who is the guy that was on stage for the Miramount?
He was the president of
He was president of Miramount.
Yeah, but okay. So who are they trying to mimic that off of?
Probably the actual president
Probably
of Miramax,
of
or,
Miramax
or just some
Paramount.
other really shitty. Because I mean, all of the people, like especially once she started doing the truth, she started telling the truth of, look at all you people. You want to drink my essence and everything. Just be yourselves. Like she did this. She literally tells us in the movie what the fucking movie's about.
Right.
Like, don't be obsessed with other things.
Right.
Don't be obsessed with this fake world. And be for each other. Be for the people around you. She tells us
Right.
point blank what the movie's about. And he's just scowling at her from behind.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, Harvey Weinstein getting a little upset there. Like yeah.
And then there was like obviously there was
She
Tom.
made a joke about that too earlier.
There was Tom Cruise,
right.
Who wasn't named.
who wasn't named.
Yeah.
Danny Houston says.
But
It's
he
a
was
guy-
Because
that
it wasn't
guy
really the voiceover guy
wasn't actually Tom Cruise. They couldn't
yeah.
get Tom Cruise in the movie
Right.
apparently.
But
Yeah.
but the avatar or the animation of it is Top Gun. He's
Yes.
he's what, Maverick?
Yeah, Maverick
Yeah.
from
You
Top
know,
Gun.
yeah, he's Top Gun Tom Cruise. You
Yeah.
know?
What I love though is Danny Houston's character's description of him. He's like, "You remember that? Did you guys talk out in the hall? I can't remember his name.
What's his name?
He's very popular back in the day." I was
Yeah.
like, "Damn."
It cost me a fortune, but you don't cost me anything.
They probably did that for liability to not even mention to say that
I,
that was.
I think that's it, but I also think it was probably they asked Tom Cruise to be in the movie. He said no, and then they were
Maybe.
like, "Okay, who's that guy? He doesn't even matter anymore." Like, let me do an underhanded.
but here's
slight
a-
terms of
here's
stuff.
Oh,
a
you know what? He might have cost
uncanny
too
image.
much. He said, "Yeah, I'll do it," but it's going to be X amount of $1 million, and they
True.
couldn't afford it.
or it was a jab at him going into Scientology.
Could be that too.
And so he was like, he was like one of the maybe the first ones to
Because
go
he did
clear
say that, didn't he? Yeah, he said something about science, like, not Scientology per se, but he said something
Some
about
sort of religion.
or something. I
I don't
think.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, remember the whole first 30 minutes they're bashing Hollywood,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
film
Yeah.
production process.
Well, my
Like, about,
favorite-
like the
Me too.
Me Too. That's it.
Yes. Well, yeah. She makes the comment
yeah,
about, we always joked about whether or not we would sleep with you for
Yes.
for a part,
Yeah,
and she's like, "I'm glad I didn't." Or so. What did she say?
She's like, "I would rather do that,
that than
than
do
sign
this."
this contract."
Yeah, yeah. My favorite talking about bashing Hollywood though was the daughter talking about how Robin Wright could be in a World War II flick because she doesn't want to do World War II movies.
Right, yeah, she didn't
And
want to
she's
be
like,
Nazis.
She's like, but why not? You could be you'd be awesome in World War II. You could be what did she say? You could be conspirator,
you could
guard,
you could be a Nazi and
and a Jew.
at the same time or
she's
something
like,
like that.
actually, you could be a conspirator, a guard, and a victim.
Yeah, and a victim,
all at the
yeah,
same
that's what they
time.
said.
And it's like, wow, that's a fucked up. Like, that's a really shitty thing to say to your mom. A,
Yeah.
but B, it's kind of a funny again look at Hollywood because it was this notion that because of the way she looked, because the conspirator comment was slightly different. Because of the way she looked, though, she could be a guard or a victim. Because she's gaunt and because she's blonde and blue eyed, she could be either one of those two things.
Right.
The conspirator thing, though, is more of a is more of an attack of character. Because the conspirator thing basically is like, well, you're an actress, you could sell your soul for anything. I mean, that was for one line to deliver that many meanings fucking it was well written too. I think I definitely didn't mind the writing. You didn't like the writing?
Well, I thought the dialogue for the children just were not. It was out of place. Kids don't talk like that.
Yeah, I was a little thrown off on their kids or on her kids.
Well,
Yeah.
they're Hollywood children though. Those kids grow up like by the time they're 8, they're 84. It's a different group of people.
Like I don't remember the speech that the son gives at the very beginning when they're at dinner or whatever, but he has like a minute long speech or it was beautiful. It was
Oh, he was talking about his kite and
Yeah.
meeting up with the plane
Yeah.
and stuff.
it merged with the sky and it was beautiful. It was.
Yeah, it
I
was-
was like, come on, kids
like
don't
an
talk
artist.
that.
No,
or something.
okay. So check it out. I'm with you completely now, especially that part. But I actually took that as another jab at Hollywood. Like, these Hollywood parents who name their kids Apple and Suitcase and all this shit, and then the kids
And
sit around.
North and West.
Yeah, and then the kids sit around being pretentious as fuck because they think that they're better than everyone else because their parents made some money and we're in the pictures. I mean,
Did you pick up on the potential suicidal tendencies with the boy?
oh, absolutely.
Because he was like kind of wanting one of the planes to crash into him.
Well,
Yeah.
that didn't make sense to me either. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
he knows he has this degenerative disease.
Oh, so he maybe just want
They're trying to hide it
and,
from
and,
him, but
and,
yeah.
and that's what that's where I took that dinner conversation was he knows he has this disease that he's not going to be able to hear and he's not going to be able to see, and so he's taking in everything possible
Yeah.
in order to
remember it. Yeah.
I'm with you. I agree with you, and I think that Paul Giamatti and Robin Wright trying to hide it from him obviously wasn't working because he's reading their fucking lips.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that
Exactly. That was a stupid scene. But it's like, here's this kid that's losing his hearing
Yeah.
for one. Okay, that means that he's probably reading lips more than actually hearing. So that's
Yeah.
how he's able to communicate.
but they may not know that. I mean, they may not be privy to that. And I think that scene especially was set up to kind of show. I think it was set up to show sort of a disconnect between what the mom and the doctor think is happening and what the boy actually feels.
Yeah.
hence
Yeah.
hence him wanting to listen to the volcano.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Well, hence that visual of the glass in between them. There's no
Yes.
reason to do that.
There's glass
Right.
between us.
Yeah.
Help us.
Did you guys ever see I Heard Huckabees?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's a crazy woman in the movie who just constantly is screaming there's glass between us whenever she's trying to talk about her feeling a disconnect from her husband. At one point she's literally standing outside the house and he's in the kitchen and she's like we don't talk anymore, we're not connected, there's glass between us, and she's banging on the window. It's so silly. Such a silly movie.
And I also thought the Harvey Keitel the rant that he gives her about trying to push her into taking the
at
contract.
dinner?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was harsh.
Yeah, I felt that kind of came out of left field.
I
'Cause
was
they were
expecting it. Yeah.
Right, they were having this casual conversation. Like even the not lawyer, but the copywriter or whatever that they bring in, the contract writer.
Yeah.
Even he's like laying down like on the couch, like really casual, and then all of a sudden Harvey Keitel gets up and starts yelling at her.
Yeah.
You know, and in front of kids, f-bombs and
I
Yeah.
think after 20 years of her 20 30
Yeah.
years of him being the he just had enough. He's like just stop.
yeah,
He just
Yeah.
got frustrated and just lost it with her.
Yeah.
So there was that. I agree with you on that, John. I think also there's a weird relationship between them. Like he's very familiar with the kids because same thing. There's a lot of time
It's
there.
almost like grandpa.
Grandpa, or in his
uncle?
mind, possibly husband. Yeah,
Yeah.
dad. I mean,
Yeah.
because there's no dad in the picture.
That's
so
true.
I don't know.
he does bring the kid a
Plane, the
it's a
regular
white plane,
one,
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of connection there. I think the thing that I had a problem with that scene in particular is that it cuts again and it goes directly to now they're meeting to sign the contract, and I was like, this is why are there the cuts in this movie are just so fast. You know what I mean? Like just to where. I know I've complained about time passage before. This one does at least say 20 years later and give you some knowledge.
It does in pretty big text.
But the way that they decided, where they decided to make the cuts and when they decided to make them and the speed with which they happen, very jarring. You know what I mean? Because like I said, you go from Harvey Keitel flipping out to immediately you're in the office the next shot with Danny Houston and the contract.
And during that scene, before he went on his rant, I noticed his makeup was real heavy.
Yeah, real
it was
dark.
like really white. So what started going through my head was, and of course, whenever it went into the animated portion, this theory went out the window. I was like, okay, maybe Harvey Keitel, maybe she's already done this contract.
Oh,
Maybe she is actually acting in a film, and somehow her consciousness doesn't know
okay. So
that she's in this film.
Did you guys keep looking for that in the movie?
The eye?
The eye.
thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Once he showed the eye thing, I was like, oh shit. I almost went back to the beginning and started watching it to see if the eye thing would be happening, because that's what I was waiting for. It was like that
Yeah.
ultra mindfuck where the entire time it's actually been an Avatar. It hasn't even
So it'd
been
be like
Right.
Inception.
Inception
in a
style.
way,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was
That
like,
would have made
oh.
it better.
But no eye twitch. I looked hard. I was like, oh, come on. Twitch just once, you fucker. Like, just
Yeah.
once. Because I thought the same thing, especially with Harvey Keitel. I'm like, oh, he sold himself too. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah. So all this is fake. It's all just a reimagination of how they thought it would all go out.
I mean, it's
go
possible,
down.
right? It's possible. Yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
so with that,
Yeah.
how much do you think this cost to make?
ooh, a lot.
Ooh. You think?
Yeah, I do. All that,
Well,
all that animation.
I don't
The
know.
animation
though.
costs a lot?
Animation,
To me-
like that type of animation probably didn't cost a lot.
Yeah. To me, you don't have to hire crews. You don't have to hire, scout sets and
Maybe.
people.
It
All you
was
need
shot
is
in a
voice
lot
actors.
of locations. It was shot
Oh, really?
in let's see, I just saw this.
I
It was
mean-
shot in Israel, Germany, Poland, Luxembourg, Belgium, France, USA, and India.
Okay,
Wow,
my
for the
number just
30?
went out.
Yeah.
Just
mine
went
too.
up. I'm gonna go 45 million, which I
Okay.
know is not a lot in terms of like $100 million blockbusters, but this wasn't a blockbuster. This was a little known movie that went right underneath the radar. I'm gonna say 45.
I'm gonna go. I just think it's lower. I'm gonna say 20. Because of the names. Because you had Harvey Keitel,
Yeah,
Danny Houston,
Robin
Robin
Wright.
Wright.
Yeah. Yeah.
One might argue.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, John?
I'm going to say, I'm gonna overcut you a little bit.
Okay.
50 million.
50 million? Okay.
All right, so it was Eddie at
45.
45. You were at
20.
20, and you were at 50.
Yeah.
All right, so this was a whopping $9.2 million.
Wow.
Ooh, I almost went lower too. I almost went to 10.
My original number was 20 until he named off 50 locations.
Wow.
That was me trying to throw you off.
Oh, good job.
Bada bang! And I did it. All right, so now, how much do you think this made in box office
Oh, it's
opening
gotta-
weekend?
Oof.
Opening weekend?
Opening weekend's gotta be terrible.
Opening weekend in the USA. Now, it probably yeah.
When did it come out?
August 31st, 2014. So after the big summer blockbuster time. Because I mean,
School's back in.
yeah, school's back in and stuff like that. So
I'm going to say $300,000.
okay.
Because I've never even fucking heard of this movie.
I've never
and
heard
I
of
watch
it.
a lot of movies,
Yeah.
so
I was, immediately my mind went to 400,000.
400,000. So 3, 4,
I'm gonna say 100,000.
100,000. Justin's the closest at is $28,640.
Wow.
I actually jumped up too because of your
So-
guys' guess. I was gonna say 50.
yeah.
So what I'm thinking here is it was probably only released in certain theaters, like maybe like New York, LA, and Miami.
Maybe.
See, now this is kind of funny, and it's totally conspiracy theory, but I wonder if there's a little bit of pushback from Hollywood with this movie as well, because it's so critical of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Could
critical
be.
of everything they stand for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
that could
wonder
be.
if Ari Folman, the director, was like, "This would be amazing," and then they made it,
Huh.
and then the Hollywood was like, "Well, I mean,
It got canceled.
you're literally you're criticizing your own industry, dickbag." Like, the
Well, a
thing
better
you're-
way to do it.
You're a part of it,
Right?
No, I agree. I mean, tear it down from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. I just think it's kind of funny that I mean,
So-
like, for it to do so bad too.
Yeah, and the cumulative worldwide gross, it didn't even make a dent. It made $758,000.
Good.
Wow. I was gonna say
Christ.
$1 million, but
Yeah.
Wow.
wow.
So the original currency that's listed in IMDb is the PLN, which is the Poland Zloty.
Okay.
Zloty equals or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was 34.1 million Poland
See,
Zloty.
that's actually what I was giving my numbers.
Oh,
in. That's
yeah.
what it was.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
I was close.
You just knew that they were using
It's
a
okay.
different currency.
the Polish zloty.
I won.
But
Yeah.
on this show, we convert everything to American dollars. Damn it!
Gotcha.
Oh,
And on that note, don't forget to check out our other podcast, American Uproar.
you can convert more dollars by joining our Patreon.
There you go.
Um,
Hey.
Hey, full circle.
Convert your Polish Kadinskis.
Zloty?
Your
I don't know.
Polish Zeppelinis. Hey, Jesus Christ.
So let's talk about like what the Rotten Tomatoes then.
Oh Christ!
Yeah, this will be fun. So what do we think? Let's do critics first. Actually.
Critics?
Yeah.
All right, so critics, if it's making fun of its own industry, depending on how the critics take that.
I'm gonna talk about how artsy fartsy it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the critics actually kind of enjoyed this, so I'm gonna say 76%.
That's strong.
Okay.
That's a strong guess. John, what do you think?
70%.
Oh, I'm gonna go.
You gonna go high or low?
I'm gonna go 80.
80.
80%.
So it was 73.
So you were,
So
we
you guys
tied.
tied, right? 'Cause you said 76.
76
right?
You said 70. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
wow.
You guys split the point.
Okay.
So what about audience then?
Audience scores.
32%.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go 45.
40.
53. So
Kyle.
Okay.
shooting it a little
Yeah.
under, but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
So 73 to 53.
Wow.
That's a big gap.
Yeah, but I could see the Roger Ebert style people probably enjoying this, and the more artsy Roger Eberts, like the
Well-
ones who are.
Well, it's a good thing John probably looked that up.
I did look it up.
Oh, okay.
Roger, let's see, what was this? 2013, yeah. Actually, one person on their site called Scout Tafoya
Okay.
reviewed it and gave it 3.5 stars.
Okay.
3.5. Wow.
Yeah, out of 4. I've been saying it wrong. That site has 4 stars max.
Okay.
Oh, not
Yeah,
5.
Not 5. I thought it was 5.
weird.
Yes, 4 stars max.
So they really
And,
enjoyed this movie.
And that one, I just want to say real quick, the review is eh. I mean, it was glowing, but I mean nothing worth quoting. Other than this, it describes Danny Houston this way: "Quote, a typically slimy Danny Houston, never not a delight."
Yeah.
That's true.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I the more things that I see him in, I'm thinking, man, he's just a great asshole.
Yeah,
He's
Well, and
great
he's-
at it.
and he's a bit of a chameleon. Like he played Hollywood greaseball.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
Oh, he's
right?
perfect.
But then at the same time, he flips over and can be a vampire. And then what was
and an
he in?
animated Hollywood
Yeah, he
greaseball.
did. What was the movie we watched a couple weeks ago with
The Warrior's Way.
Warrior's Way? And then at the same time,
The
he
Colonel.
can be a slightly rapey, very rapey, heavily disfigured colonel from the Civil
Civil
War.
War,
So I
yeah.
mean,
Or a Nazi in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, which he kind of played
Yes, he
that
is, isn't
type
he?
of character in this movie as well. He
It
was
was
the
similar.
the
Yeah.
Miramax police. Arr, I'm going to kill you or
Right.
something like that because he was wanting to.
He was wanting
arrest
to,
her.
he was wanting to save her. He was wanting to keep her alive
What
because,
you were
because
seeing-
she was
Yeah.
aging beautifully.
what you were seeing as the Miramount Police were not Danny Houston.
See, I thought it was.
No, those Miramount Police are all different people who all want to be in charge, like Danny
In his
Houston is in
position.
charge.
Oh,
so they
so
are
they
all
were-
looking like
You're
him.
right. Oh,
They're
dear
all
God.
drinking his essence. It's not all
You're right.
him.
Oh, dear
There's only
God.
one Danny Houston. She meets with him outside in the room with Tom Cruise, and he's sitting in this little tiny cubicle. He's actually not that powerful, but the people who are cops all perceive him to be this really powerful guy, so they all want to look like him.
This
Yeah.
powerful studio.
That makes
exec.
sense.
It's a fucking mess. I mean, trying to understand it because I mean,
Yeah.
like we're still discovering things, deciphering shit as
Yeah,
we
true.
move through to our ratings.
Well,
Lord.
but yeah, it's not actually him. That was funny. You thought it was?
I
he
I thought it
just-
was. Yeah.
Yeah, I
was
thought it was
just-
him.
Well, and
He's duplicated himself.
the reason I thought it was because
Yeah.
he's talking about saving her, and he's having a conversation with the executive who was talking, and he's all bandaged up with his head. Why would a regular captain on the police force be
Yeah.
saying, no, we got to save her because she's aging beautifully and all this stuff? You got to get to the big boss.
No. So the one guy, the guy who said that, true, but he's talking to another guy that's Danny Houston. There's multiple people that look like Danny Houston.
Yeah,
in that
I didn't see another Danny Houston in the helicopter though.
No, I
Maybe
mean,
not in the helicopter, but
he was the actual studio exec. He was the one that was trying to save her.
yeah. No, with the helicopter, I'm with you. I'm talking
Yeah.
about later on, whenever she's singing on the stage.
Oh,
and all that
those.
stuff,
Yeah.
There's like 50
yeah.
Danny Houstons,
Right.
and
Right.
Yeah,
I
'cause
was
he-
talking about the helicopter.
Because he walks
my
in,
bad.
he's like, "You're under arrest, whore."
yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
that
Yeah.
guy. But that's Danny Houston, but it's not.
I was like, why is this dude flipping script so much.
Why
on
the
her.
fuck? Why is he a cop now? Like,
Yeah.
where does that come in?
Yeah.
That makes your logic makes more sense
Yeah,
than
no,
mine.
but with
Yes.
the bandage and the helicopter, that's definitely him.
Okay.
I'm with you on that.
Alright.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
my
Yeah,
fault.
yeah,
okay.
My fault.
Yeah.
You got an issue with time in your conversation.
Well, there's an issue with time with the movie. Half of it's animated.
Well, I mean, none of that. Yeah,
It was
none of that's
before
explained.
It was before they had sex and flew around the city, like with
Oh, now I get it.
Stupid.
wings. Jesus.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Let's get to ratings.
yeah, let's get the ratings here. So since I picked this, I'll go first.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
The
Where's this all gonna play out?
I don't know. I was not impressed. It wasn't the movie I thought it was going to be. I was from the trailer. It looks interesting. And I thought it was going to be the original movie that's in like the first 30 minutes. And I would really like to see that movie if anybody's listening who can make movies. But I guess it was just too cerebral for me, or I wasn't drunk enough or high enough or whatever. Because to me, it was like the cartoon artist was the only person who knew what was going on while
That's
I was
probably
watching
true.
this.
Yeah.
So I was going to give it, I did have a specific score in mind while we were talking about this, but since you've explained, you've mansplained it to me a little more, I'm going to go up a little bit.
My job here's done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So he's the real Ari Folman.
It's me.
Oh my god.
Unmask myself.
Yeah.
Rip my own face off. God.
So, again, when I watch some movies, when I do these ratings, I try to think back of rewatchability as well.
Yes.
This is not one of those movies that I will ever go back and rewatch.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
So, I'm going to give this 2.5.
Okay.
2.5.
2.5, I think.
John.
Okay. I will not say this is a great movie because it's not, but I think it's better than average.
Okay.
And I've never after watching a movie at home, I've never had this feeling of, you know how that feeling when you watch when you watch a movie in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And you the movie's over and you're walking down the hall and you're not thinking about anything other than
What you just saw.
what you just saw,
Right, yeah.
right? And even when you go to the bathroom, that's just prolonging that feeling.
I feel like we should ask, where did the movie touch you, John?
Of you don't, yeah, right. Show me
Show
on the
me
doll.
on this doll. Yeah.
And it just it's prolonging your separation from the real world.
Yeah, that's
Right?
not a funny joke, by the way. So sexual
No,
assault's
no, that is a
not a
big deal.
joke, but yeah,
It's very serious.
Sorry, John. Go ahead.
You're still in that movie
Yeah.
mindset, right?
Okay.
And then you step through the doors of the theater and the sunlight hits you and you start to sweat a little bit and you start you feeling the warmth on your face and it's slowly bringing you back to reality like a thawing Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I
Okay.
was like wrapped up in it and I'm like, okay, and I was just thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And for all its oddness, I don't quite understand everything.
Okay.
We said there's probably like a million other things that this movie hits on. But I liked it and I'm probably going to watch it again to pick up on to try to see if I can see some other themes that this movie brings out.
The nuances.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the subtle stuff that they're not that only a second viewing could actually like Kyle said, watch it multiple times to really understand it. So I really liked it, and based on all of that I just said, I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
This movie's gonna have the biggest spread, I think.
Yeah, probably.
So, I'm literally somewhere between Justin and John.
Well,
on
that is
this.
the gambit. That is.
I mean, it's basically
I wouldn't think that you would be above 8.5, but
No, to be honest with you, I think that the premise of the movie, back to what Justin's saying, the premise of the movie is actually very interesting. It actually deals with a lot of themes that I agree with in a lot of ways. Like while I was watching it, I was like, "Fuck Justin, this movie is a mess," and then at the same time, I'm like, "But they got a point." It's just such a it's all over the place, and that's what I would critique most is their execution. You know what I mean? Like their execution is just, some of it was really good and then some of it was shoddy. And I was like, I don't understand why that's happening. like you guys not getting at the end that it was that she was being her son. That is a very poignant piece of the movie because in a weird way, there's a lot of comments there about motherhood, about being a mother of a terminally ill child. Like there's a lot of shit that's said with that. And for them to sort of gloss over that the doctor is making up this cocktail, like they could have taken 2 extra seconds and had Paul Giamatti hand her the ampule and say, he wanted me to make sure that you got this just like this or something like that. Like just something like that, just to kind of allude to, hey, there's some purpose behind what I just did.
Right.
Instead, he passes it off, she sniffs it, and the next thing you know, she's a baby and we don't know what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a problem. And that's what I mean. Like there's this, like you said about the cartoonist or the animator, there seems to be this conversation that took place that they were involved in that nobody else got to be involved in.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's the best inside joke ever, and we don't know what the fuck
It's almost like
is.
a comedy that is full of inside jokes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you're
It's
like,
you don't quite understand what's going on.
and you have to connect these dots.
Yeah.
And what you're actually describing with coming out of the theater and thinking about the movie longer, I experience that all the time. Like it's one of the reasons why I like or dislike the movies I do, because I think about them as much as I do. Even when I shouldn't be thinking about them. I'm thinking about other movies right now. But anyway,
What do you rate?
You're
The
not even
Congress.
talking about this movie, are
I
you?
know. Well, that's what I'm getting ready to say. So with this movie, the main thing that I liked about it though was that the movie does hit on those themes, and it does cause the type of experience you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Which I do enjoy that type of experience. But because of the flaws of it, it is hard for me to give it a super high score like an 8.5. I would probably give this I'm going to go solid middle of the road at a 5 because I think it was good, but with flaws. And I might watch it again. I might. I can't say I would. I might. So, 5.
Okay. So, yeah, John, what you're saying about the movie theater experience, I really enjoy when a movie does personally or move me in a way, either it made me sad or happy or energized to make me like listen to a certain song in the movie on the way home and like remind me of that scene. And I didn't get that at all in this movie.
Where did the movie not touch you, Kyle?
Everywhere.
We're on Danny Houston.
I did not feel anything. At the very end, all I felt was confusion, and I remember sending a GIF to Justin of me just going, "What the fuck did you make me watch?" You know, I think, and that's where it stopped, and I didn't really think about it too much after that. But anyway, with that, I'm going to rate this a 2.9.
Okay, so Kyle gives it a 2.9.
I'm just curious, by the way, if you had to pick between watching The Warrior's Way again and watching The Congress again, which one would you pick?
Neither.
No, you have to pick one.
Oh,
you
it's
have
an
to
either
pick.
or thing?
It's an either or. It's
The Warrior's
this
Way.
or I blow your balls off. Which one of these two movies are you picking?
Probably The Warrior's Way.
The Warrior's Way?
Same.
Really?
Congress.
The Congress?
Yeah.
I gotta go. I'd suffer through the Congress again. But it would be a fucking. I'd sweat on this for a couple more minutes than you guys just did.
Because
like it would take me a few more minutes.
I do remember, pausing it because I had to go to the restroom. But I remember pausing it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm not even halfway."
Yeah. I did the same thing.
I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
I did that whenever we were still in the live action before the animated stuff. I paused it for a second just to see, and I was like, "It's only been 30 minutes."
Yeah.
It felt like a whole movie already.
I know.
How did they do that? Like, oh man.
Oh god, this is gonna be terrible.
That's
Anyway,
funny.
what was the final score?
So the
Justin?
final score was a 4.7
Okay.
for The Congress.
I think this is the most me movie that you've ever picked. This
Yeah.
When I was watching, I was like,
Yeah.
"This seems like I picked this fucking movie."
Yeah.
That's pretty
It's
funny.
true.
Yeah.
It's like we had a double whammy with Eddie movies here.
It's almost like Eddie and I got together behind the scenes and we swapped movies.
We absolutely didn't. But that's what's funny is The Warrior's Way. I would almost think you or Kyle would pick before
Nah.
me.
No. I would never pick that.
I would have
movie,
never. No.
especially as a western.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Anyway,
Rotten Tomatoes disagrees.
Yeah.
so that concludes our season 1 of Screen Riot, which was pretty cool. Our first
Yeah.
season, 16 episodes.
Can't believe it's already been 16 episodes.
I know.
There were a couple movies that definitely made it feel like this is 16 episodes. There were a few.
So what we decided to do is do a contest where we had some of our listeners propose 3 suggestions each, so that we can put them on a wheel, spin it, and then we'll give one more review of whatever the chosen movie is.
We're doing like a wrap-up show.
Yeah, a little wrap-up show.
Yeah.
So we have those names, or we have those movies, I should say, on our wheel. So, John, without further ado,
All right, here we go.
Whew, those are a lot of movies.
A lot of movies.
It's that last
I know, it's that
game.
last
Last
one.
tick, yeah, right. All right, who picked? Who's it?
Gone with the Wind.
Oh my gosh, Gone with the Wind.
So
And-
who chose Gone with the Wind?
And that was actually Janet Hopkins.
Janet Hopkins. Okay.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Well, congratulations, Janet Hopkins. We'll get in contact with you over Facebook, most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah, we'll get in touch with you. Yeah.
And we'll get your shirt size and all that, and we'll get you a free Screen Riot t-shirt.
Heck yeah.
Thanks
Congratulations.
Thank you for picking Gone with the Wind.
And of course, Eddie really loves that movie.
Oh, he was
And-
dreading it.
And it's probably a lot longer than Patton, which I think Patton was our longest movie on our show. Let's see if that is actually going to beat it.
I think it does. I
Yeah,
think it's
Gone
like
with the Wind,
4 hours.
1939. It's 2 hours and 58 minutes.
No, so
or
it's not-
3 hours, 58 minutes, sorry.
I was going to say it's 4 hours
It's
long.
4 hours long.
Yeah, so it's a solid hour longer than Patton. Yeah. All right, so this is going to take us a couple days to watch.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what? Why not end with a bang, right?
I
This
guess.
I don't know.
It's one of the most highly
Oh, absolutely.
touted movies.
I'm
but
actually kind of excited.
Everybody's
to watch.
seen Gone with the Wind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a
I mean,
long
yeah,
time
yeah,
ago.
okay.
13 times.
Oh,
I'm
jeez.
actually kind of excited to rewatch
Really?
it because it's been
It's been a while.
it's
for
been
me.
a while.
I showed it. I worked as a projectionist at a theater
Oh, yeah,
for
okay.
17 years. Right.
Right.
Well, it was a historic theater, and at least once a year we showed Gone with the Wind, like once on like fucking clockwork. So there were not every year I didn't have to do it, but there were multiple years I had to show it, and I didn't watch it every time, but I've gone through it a few times.
Yep.
13 times.
So, Gone with the Wind. So, IMDb, just synopsis real quick.
Yep.
A manipulative woman and a roguish man conduct a turbulent romance during the American Civil War and Reconstruction periods.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, there's a lot of history in this movie.
I always thought Casablanca was better than Gone with the Wind. But
It depends on what you're looking at it for.
yeah, just those like, classic, highly rated,
Oh, right.
gotta see before you die movies that,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I think Casablanca stays more focused. I think
Yeah.
that's why you probably like
Probably.
it a little bit more. Yeah.
So yeah. So again, thanks to
Janet Hopkins. Yeah.
Janet Hopkins. And if you want to watch Gone with the Wind, just go look it up on realgood.com. That is REEL good.com, and you can see where it's streaming or where you can rent it, and all that. I'm pretty sure that's probably not going to be difficult to find.
No, because it's probably everywhere.
Yeah, it's probably everywhere.
No, you have to search and search and search. No one's ever heard
No
of
one's
it.
ever
It's
heard
a
of
pain
it.
in the ass.
If
I mean,
anything, it's probably on like TCM.com or something.
right
like
below
that.
the Congress as far as good movies go.
Yeah.
So don't miss out on that episode. Also, we're going to be doing another Patreon exclusive review for Christmas, and that's going to be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes. Now
Which
that
is
is
a
a Christmas
holiday
classic.
classic.
Yes, that's awesome.
So definitely be on the lookout for that. If you're not signed up for our Patreon, go there. I think that tier is just $10 a month.
Yes,
I think,
believe so.
and then you can listen to all of our cool reviews.
Yeah.
So anyway, so thanks for listening, everybody, and stay tuned for season 2 and our wrap-up show.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Later.